we'll start with our agenda. And for all you new folks, explain how this works. This class is for you. It's not just a one-sided presentation. It's really for you. So Mom's Computer, if you're new, has been working with lasers, about a good 8 years now in different capacities. And Mom's Computer is also available to you in between classes. We have an 800 number and an email, and Dusty will put that in the chat. You're not alone after this. This class is to help you learn new subjects, answer some questions like Steve had, and then have you maybe apply some of those, but maybe after class, if you're not burnt out from an hour and a half of tech. And you can call us at that number and we can guide you through solutions. If you ever get any scam emails or things that are spooking you, you can just power down the computer and give us a call like you would any shop, but it's legitimate and it's part of your benefit. And we welcome your phone calls throughout the month. Our first topic is going to be Find My Phone review. And what happens if you lose your phone? Even better yet, what happens if somebody you care for loses their phone that you look after? Whether it's an Apple or an Android, they both have this feature called Find My Phone. It's relatively simple to use and set up, and it's a lifesaver. It could be a lifesaver if you lose it on a bus on the trip to Tahoe, and now you're back home and it's gone. Or you could use it if it just fell in the crack of your car or in the cushion in your couch, and you're freaking out at 9:30 as you're just about to sit down and have a hot dog. It can just open it up, click a button, and it'll beep, and you can find it and locate it and see it on the map. Tech junk cleanup. Who's got that box lying around? Who's got the old phones that used to work around the house? Talk about what to get rid of, the urgent things, anything. I'll give you a little hint, the heads up, anything with a battery, anything that has a battery in it should be properly disposed. We have some questions, and it was just like Steve's. Steve, look at that. Somebody was ahead of you because, oh yeah, another thing, you can send us questions throughout the month that we'll answer today. My Windows 10 computer says, there's a big topic because, obviously Microsoft is trying to sell more computers by spooking people, and they are you should legitimately be spooked, but clearly they're using it as marketing. But my Windows 10 computer says it will no longer receive updates after October. What does that mean? Can I still use my computer safely? As a hook, I'm not going to answer that yet. Microsoft Word, for those that have been paying $69.99 a year, 12 months for the subscription, it's going up to $99 a year. Some folks still have the standalone they purchased a while ago and it still works on their computer. That's awesome. But for new computers, if you try to use an old version of Microsoft Office with Word, Excel, won't work, and they'll want you to subscribe, and it's going up. But there is a great free solution called Google Docs. Car cameras. For a $100 bill, you can get a rear view mirror that works as a front car camera and a rear car camera and records. On my fancy new Mazda, it has a great rear camera, but no front camera because I didn't buy the Turbo Deluxe double up package. And so I'm going to buy my own. Scam Busters. For those of you that are familiar with AI and ChatGPT and how to do searches and ask questions, now a lot of people, for your new folks, will call the shop or forward us an email or a text and say, is this legitimate? And we'll answer them. Now you can use ChatGPT and paste that email or text, and it will help identify whether that's legitimate or not. Spotlight on legacy email contact. What happens to all your data when you're no longer using it or somebody you care for is no longer using it? Can it be accessed? Can that email be cleaned? Can it be shut down? Can you take possession of it? Or does it just sit there for a couple of years in the middle of nowhere with the person's whole life of emails just floating around? Amazon alternatives. The other day, a package came in late and confusing from Amazon. For the first time, I had to fight, FIGHT, sort of fight with somebody on the phone. And also I said, what's the alternative to Amazon? What is my alternative? And I got breathless. There's not a lot, but we'll talk about that if we get there. And slip and fall digital devices. Anybody wearing a life alert, something around your neck or you know somebody. My mother wouldn't wear it for vanity for the longest time. And so they sell other types of things now that are similar to that, different than your phone. So if you do slip and fall, you push that button, get an immediate response. We always check in on telemedicine, see if anybody's had any experiences with it, how that's progressing along. And then we will have our Tech Jeopardy. I got some tough tech questions for prizes. I'm really going to do a summer stump you. And then we'll talk about topics for next month. So let us begin from the very beginning and talk about Find My iPhone. I'm going to stop my share. And by the way, this class is linear. We have a direction, but if we segue and something else comes up that's important, please raise your hand. We do not turn off the microphones here. You can do that. You can mute yourself if there's some noise in the background, but if you need to say something and you have a question, don't just get it out. We get it. And you can also put it in the chat if you will. So who here's ever lost their phone? Who's ever sat down at the end of the day, you get in from the car, the groceries are done, you put everything on the counter, you're just about to let that sigh out, you're home and you're safe, and it's 8:37 p.m., right? And you're just there. And you sit down and you do the feels, you go, okay, the keys are okay, the wallet's okay, everything's okay. And then you look to the left, your phone's not there. Then you walk up and go, wait, it's not there either. And then you lose your appetite all of a sudden. And next thing you have to look for the phone. I mean, and then if you do find it, it's an incredible adrenaline rush. It's like an endorphin. It's almost like drugs. Like sometimes, like when I lose it and find it a second later, it's like, wow, that was the best emotion I've had all day. But there's a way around that. Now, we're all bound together here. You're all bound together because you're retirees from the city of Los Angeles. And by the way, Dusty and I thank you for your service. I grew up here and I used everything that you provided us with, from street lights to garbage being picked up to the police, everything. I did my whole life and it got me here today. So, but there is something that divides us in this room. And I'm not good enough to bring us together. I don't have the Holy Spirit enough to do that. But I'm going to tell you what divides us. Who uses an iPhone? Who's an Apple user? Raise your hand. Oh, those hands go up real fast from that Cupertino cult. Look at that. Oh, I'm with an Apple right away, right away. They're the beautiful phone. They invented the smartphone. Who's an Android user? See, our Android people, their phones are cracked. They put tape on the front of them. They fold them. But when you see them at the bar, they'll buy you a Apple. There's no difference per se any longer. They do the same things. Apple works in the Apple universe, and Android works in the Google universe. So for you Apple people, there's something called Find My iPhone. It's an app on your phone. You'll have to make sure it's enabled by going to settings, and we could talk further about the minutia of that. But you'll have to make sure it's on because you don't have to have it on. You don't have to have your location services be public in any way. But if it is on, then per se, if you lost it, there's a couple of things you can do, and I'm going to share my screen for you Apple people. So I opened up Find My. It's on the very bottom. If you can see, it's a green circle with a blue thing, and I only have a Mac computer. And it's showing my Mac computer, which is right here. I happen to be on Lafayette Park. For all you fans of Rampart, here I am. I have a choice between Hanu Korean barbecue, and I'm sure there's some good taco stands on the way home. It'll show me everything, and then I can get more information about it. And if I lost it, I can mark it lost. I could play a sound during it, or I could make directions and drive back to it. But I know for this part, if I lost it, I could do this on my phone on an Apple product, and I could know where it is, and then even shut it down, which means make sure if it's lost for good, I can erase this device, which means if somebody tries to turn it on and it connects to Apple, it goes away. This is very similar to the Google, and I'll show it to you, but you can also have people in here. Now, this one's empty, it's just me, but I can go to Sally and open Sally's Find My, and it'll say, share your location with Elijah. She'll put my phone number or email in there. Then I'll accept that. And when I click this little tab on the top that says people, I'll see me, I'll see Sally. And wherever Sally is, I'll see her phone. And if Sally loses it, then I can push the same buttons and ring it or do whatever I need to do to help her locate that or just lock it down, if it's a loss. You could do that with anyone or anybody. They also have another feature here, which is sort of cool. Maybe you've heard of Apple AirTags, little pucks that you can put on your keychain, stick in your wallet, put in anything safe, which also act as a tracking device. And if I had those, I would see Apple AirTag and it would say keys, Apple AirTag wallet, Apple AirTag handbag, whatever the case may be. So it works as a satellite. Your job is to know your Apple ID and password. If Sally loses her phone and then she goes over to Vicki Thompson and say, Vicki, can I borrow your computer? Sure. You're going to go to any website, type in findmy.com. It'll take you to the Apple website. Then you'd sign in with your information, and then you'd be able to see it from any other device. So it works as an app, but also as a web page, which the next example for us Android people, go open a Google Chrome browser because Google Chrome is part of the Google universe. And I'm going to type in find your phone. And it's a Galaxy Z. It started 47 minutes ago. It happens to be right next to me. And it's honing in. It's in the same place as my computer is because we're together. And it has the same features. I could play the sound. I could secure it. I can factory reset it. It's even showing me the battery power. But I can hone in here pretty well and even see the address. So Find Your Phone is on Google. You have to make sure that you know your Google password and sign in. Google phone is signed in under Elijah@momscomputer.com. So the phone is registered under that. So that means that information would be necessary in case I lost it. And like I said, you can have other people's devices in your list, somebody you care about. For a practical example, we have folks are in like assisted livings and places like this, and they want to make sure the phone doesn't disappear, and they're there, they don't know everybody there. That's the reality, and so this way they can make sure the phone is at 123 Maple Street of some sort like that. Any questions on that?
What if the battery goes out in my phone and I can't find it?
Ratna, you're rehired at Lacers. You're going back at the city. You start tomorrow. You're too sharp. That's exactly right. If the battery runs out, then and you couldn't find it for a day or two, that would mean you would click something called erase this device. The next time it gets turned on, you will get a notice that says your phone was located. Would you like to continue with the erase? But if the battery is out, then you won't get any sense of where the phone is. Now, that brings me to another point with our phones. Let's play a little poker. I want you to look at your phone right now. Grab that phone, and we're going to play some battery charge poker. I want you to just the point of this exercise is to locate the battery symbol, usually on the top right, and see the percentage that you have. So that's a pretty important note, because think of it like this. Oh, let me let somebody else in the meeting. When you get in your car, you look to see what kind of gas you have in there, or electric charge kind of thing, before you head on out. So if you drive and you don't check your fuel or your energy consumption, then you'll run out. Your phone is the same thing. And by the way, when you go out and your phone is you're not in the house, you're texting, you have the Google Maps open, you checked your banking app, you did another app on there. There's 4 or 5 things you're doing, the battery burns faster. So who here has 50% or less on their phone? You can be honest. And okay, Bernadette Arzu. All right, so I'm giving the finger, the little, no. You got double from Dusty and I, Bernadette. Who has 50 to 75%? Very good. Who has 75 to as much as it can go? Very good. Point of that is, obviously, you can run out. And phones, as they get older, don't become unusable, but the battery doesn't hold as much of a charge. That's the nature of a lithium battery. It's not a bad thing. In the old days, it was an alkaline battery. Remember the little oval ones that you open the flashlight, your dad's flashlight, and this crusty white alkaline would fall out. So when those batteries died, they died immediately. But a lithium-ion battery that's on your phone or one you sit on when you drive, in one of those kind of cars, they are they're like a honeycomb. If you look at your screen now and you have if you're like me, you have a bunch of little squares. If one of those squares stops working, the other squares take over. So sometimes your phone might not go to 100%, maybe go to 98%, 95%, but that's okay. Doesn't mean anything, but it means it'll burn more battery faster. So keep your phone charged. And my rule is to try to not leave the house without 75% of charge. Even if you're in the car, I mean, in a perfect world, of course, we're running, you toss it in the local charger or wherever you're going. But if in your mind, you said, 75% is nice to leave the house with, I think that's a good thing to put on there. I mean, what if you go to a blackout somewhere? If you've ever been to the airport, probably the most disgusting part is the pole with the plug everybody's leaning down against. That's like the carpet's most worn out over there. There's always food left over there. Or there's 7 phones there charging and they're staring at them. And like, you don't want to end up on a TikTok video as the person that went crazy at the airport. So do that. And we can talk about other alternatives, but battery charge is important. Any other questions? Yes, Sally.
You told us sometime last year how to find, so we didn't run down the battery, the windows that are open, and I am sitting here scrolling, trying to figure out how we did that. Could you refresh it?
Sure. So Sally's on an iPhone, but it works on an Android. Maybe you've noticed this. So let's say you open Google Maps and then you're done and you close it. You open your text and then you're done with your close it. You open your Yahoo app or your Wells Fargo app or your Hollywood Bowl app, anything like that, and then you close it. That doesn't mean you've completely shut down that application. Many of you have noticed if you swipe your finger up slowly from the bottom, you'll see several windows open. Sometimes on iPhones, you have to tap the bottom. There's an indentation or a flat part. And then you'll see you have 5 applications open, which means they're still running in the background. Doesn't mean you're in your bank account. Doesn't mean, you're actively doing the work in those accounts. What it does mean is that that app is open and ready to use, and that burns more energy. So you can close that out. But you know what the ultimate cure for that is? Besides that, because you're going to forget. I mean, not every minute you have to close everything. Is if you restart your phone at the end of the day, turn it off and on. And which is a healthy thing to do, by the way. If you just go to, it's going to be every day, but every couple of days, go to your phone, hold the button down, slide power off, let it sit for a second, 10 seconds, and then power it back on. That will automatically close down any of those open windows that we're using and let you start fresh again. Yes, Sally.
Okay, when you told us about clearing the history, does that also,
These are
no,
good questions. That does
those are
not.
different?
That does not. If you're an iPhone or Android user, these are good questions, though. These are good segues because the history means a history of things you've looked for. So you've typed in mocha.com, you've typed in socialsecurity.com, you've typed in vacationrentals.com, well, hopefully all the good retirement stuff. That means every time you go to your browser, if it's on a phone, you might have Google Chrome or Safari, then it routines a history. You can go in either phone, Apple or Android, locate a button that says clear history and erase all the previous places you visited. And we'll review that more. But shutting down the phone does not erase your history. Shutting down the phone will close open apps or any processes, quote unquote processes, things that you're doing, and let you open up again. So you have to locate in Apple, you have to go to settings, Safari, and clear history. In Chrome, there'll be 3 dots, and I'll explain how that works. I'll show you how that works. But mostly to save battery, and that doesn't affect your battery, is to close those apps and restart your phone once a day or once a week, whatever you're comfortable with. But don't let it be on forever and ever. Windows 10. Again, who here is a Windows user? Who's here on a Windows computer? A non-Apple. I'm on a Mac. Very good. I love Windows. It was my first computers. We got a Winnie's a window person. So we got a Windows club here today. Pretty cool, Dusty. All right. I see Brenda. They're proud. They're coming up. Rachel's a Windows person. Look at that. I think the stock of Microsoft just went up. Too bad I don't own any. Great. So are you using, ask yourself or feel free to share with the room, are you using Windows 10 or Steve? Are you on Windows 10 or Windows 11? That's an important.
Yeah, no, I'm on Windows 10.
Okay.
And my laptop, I love it. It's from probably 2000 and I don't know, 13, 14. It's a great HP laptop, and now it's saying that 11 will not be compatible on my great computer that I like, So yeah.
So let's talk about this for a moment. So yes, as in all programs, even in Apple, they don't call it by numbers. In Apple, you'll have right now the most current operating system is called Sequoia. The one previous to that was called Sonoma. The one previous to that, I think, was Monterey. All these different names, High Sierra, Snow Leopard. It's the same thing as the computer developer develops new products. They put that on your computer and allow you to have that new products, this new security, and also sell you more stuff. It's a necessary thing, seems to be, because it's always been the way with computers. In Windows, they have moved on from, like I said, at the very beginning, Windows 98 to Windows XP. When you're working at the city, you were probably using one of those early Windows XPs, situations, or Windows 98. And then they made themselves go all the way up to Windows 10. But what happens is, after they decide to release a new operating system, in this case, it's Windows 11, they start phasing out the old one. And what happens is all the developers from Microsoft Office to Zoom to anything you have on your computer starts developing their applications to work with the new operating system because they know in due course, that's all that Microsoft will be selling. So any kind of computer you buy, HP, Lenovo, Dell, any of them are going to have Windows 11. So a company's going to say, I'm not going to start building all this stuff for the past. Those are fading. And they start building them for the future. So everything goes ahead to have you replace that Windows computer. Microsoft has given about 1.5 years of advance notice to, by October, know that it won't meet any more support, which means if there's a problem with Windows 10, they won't assign an engineer or an engineer team to say, okay, there's a problem on Vicky Thompson's Windows computer. Let's go and fix it. It's Windows 10 or whatever collective problem groups of people come up with and solutions. It means you're on your own with Windows 10, and you won't get a lot of support from the developers either because they're not going to really put much energy into Windows 10. Now, some computers, usually 2020 and up, can be upgraded from Windows 10 to Windows 11. The reason is when they were built, the developers knew these days were coming. They put a special thing called like a T3 security chip, just a very smart piece of software hardware in there. The previous one, Steve, like yours, don't contain that chip. So therefore, it's not possible to upgrade those computers. So it is a good idea if you plan on moving forward with your computer and you're using Windows 10 and it's not upgradable. And by the way, you can check your computer by something called Windows Health Check. If you Google Windows Health Check, it'll help diagnose your computer and see if Windows 11 is available. But as a rule of thumb, 2019 and up could be, below that might not be. This is what happens though if you say, you know what, I don't care. I like my old Buick. I got my Buick Regal from '72 and it's doing great. I'm not changing. I like the ashtray. I like the little wings on the windows. It's great. It's got a bench seat. They don't make that anymore. No seat belts. The hood's not on there. I got one hubcap left, but it goes down the street and people don't park near me at Ralph's. I'm not leaving this. Nevertheless, you can hang on. There are going to be 100 million people using Windows 10. It's not like everybody's going to show up at Best Buy the day before October and it goes. What it does mean practically is that your security will become less because as Microsoft does not attend to all the ins and outs of their program, and there's a world of people like trying to find infiltration out there, you won't have that protection any longer. It also won't have lots of new features that will be very similar to your phone. So I per se wouldn't, when Windows 10 is not supported, I would be more concerned about logging into my Lacers account or your Bank of America account or Cedars or any of your important retirement stuff with the money is really what we're talking about here. I'd be a little more suspect of using that. And yeah, there's really no way around it. They'll push it, as long as they can. And I would think if you're using Windows 10, really, and you were thinking, okay, I'm eventually gonna have to do that by April of next year, after the holiday season, after you've given everybody else their gifts, you'll buy your own one. I think it would be time right around, February, March, April to think about moving on. Any questions, Steve, or anyone about that?
Yeah. Okay. So it makes sense what you're talking about.
All right, we're moving on to our next topic, which is your tech junk cleanup. And especially now if it's hot and you've got that box of stuff in the closet or, just in the drawer or whatever it is. Everybody has that box of stuff. And I find that a lot of people don't do the tech junk cleanup because you do have a good conscience and you just don't want to throw it in the bin, with your potato peels. Or now you have, in Santa Monica, you have to separate the food waste from the other waste. But when you have the recycling bin, it's not tech recycling. That's for cardboard and paper and plastic. So I think a lot of people don't throw that away because they don't know where to throw it away, right? So I don't necessarily have a solution for you. I do know that many Best Buys, pardon me, Home Depots, not Best Buy so much, Home Depots have a little box in the return section. And you can throw all your old batteries in a plastic bag and bring them to that box. Now, where are those batteries? If you have, the other day I was doing some job and I said, can you get rid of these? And they had all those old little portable phones from around the house. I just never threw them away, in the little cradle. There was like 4 of them from old systems. And in there, if you open the back, there's a battery. There's a removable battery, a rechargeable battery. So you'd want to remove any of those kinds of batteries. As well, if you have a lot of spaghettis of cable, that's plastic, that's PHB in there, and it rots. It doesn't live forever. It falls apart. Sometimes you've picked up an old cable and it crumbles in your hand a little bit. You don't need to breathe that in. You don't need that in your house. Get all that in a bag and type in local tech recycling. See, a lot of times like my shop will pick them up. There are places you can get rid of. But leaving those things in your home or the home of a senior, that just a friend of yours, somebody you're caring for, that just can't get to that shelf anymore or into that cabinet. And you did something like that, it wouldn't be a bad idea. I think, as each year goes by, we just have more of that stuff, living around us. So Go, be brave, go through that junk pile, separate the good thumb drives from the old chargers, from all that stuff, and move it and get rid of it out of the house. Even if your computer is a CPU, which means it sits on the floor and there's wires behind it, check all those areas and clean them up. Who has a CPU on the floor, by the way, that goes to a monitor? You know, like the computer that sits, whether it's on the floor or on a stand of some sort, then there's a cable that goes to the monitor. You know, if you look behind that thing, if it's been a while, there's a fan back there. It wouldn't hurt you to turn it off, get your vacuum cleaner and fan that out. You know, just suck out some of the dust in there. It's really just a cooling fan, and turn it off and just remove some of that dust, save some life. We have a question from Tracy. Please unmute yourself, Tracy.
Oh, no question.
Oh, but we liked your thumbs up. And yeah, Russ says there are recycling centers around the city that are open on weekends to take your old tech stuff. So local, look where you are. And by the way, here's something I'm going to do for you. For those of you who are going to attend our live Lacers on July 31st, for those of us that are ready to burn out July on that last day, we're going to do it up at the beautiful Almanzor Court. If you have a bag of those old wires and some of that stuff, bring it. We'll take it from you.
Only wires, not the actual things?
I'm not taking your old refrigerator, okay? The one away, or like the big freezer in the garage. I'm sorry, Rana, we have no room for that in my.
No, how about a camcorder, like the
Yes, if
handheld?
you want to bring camcorders, you have any of that stuff, feel free to bring it. We'll
Oh,
bring a
good.
bunch of milk crates and I'll haul it away for you. That would be a nice little benefit. So yes, if you're coming to tech class on July 31st, we don't want new gifts or presents. Dusty and I don't want flowers. Bring us the old junk in your closet.
Okay.
All of it. Even a green
That's-
sweater, we'll wear it if we have to.
Even old computers?
Yeah, definitely bring an old computer for us. You know.
Okay, good.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so clean that stuff out. And by the way, if you have an old cable you've been using on your phone that's not original and it's falling apart and it's got like pizza stains on it, go replace it. You know, go to Target or go to Staples and go to the impulse section and replace that. Because it is time for tech trivia. Right? So those of you that are new, we have 3 questions. There are prizes that come with the question, Starbucks cards or Amazon cards. Tech trivia for a midsummer day. By the way, all right, there it is. The first AOL email symbol. All right. This was the day remember in LA, it was the big thing, and they had the bicycle messengers, and they were just winging around LA on bicycles with those messenger packs. That's how we moved that. I'll get a messenger to you in the morning. Well, when the email came out, that all ended, and that was the symbol. But what year was the first email sent? Was it A, 1969, the summer of love, B, 1971, just a few years before disco, C, 1983 with new wave, and D, 1992 with grunge coming out? Which was it? Put your answers in the chat. Dusty will monitor. Da 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 da. All right, folks, are we ready? Bidding has closed. The answer is 1971. Fun fact, it was sent by Ray Tomlinson, who used the ampersand symbol to separate the user from the machine, a standard still used today. Do we have